In the name of love and the heart of grace, overflow in us, decorate this place. As it is below, so it is above. May we always stand in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one, in the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song all as one, in the name of love. In the name of love, may we always be seeking out the best till we all are free, living in the world we've been dreaming of, where we stand as one in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one, in the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song all as one, in the name of love. In the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one, in the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song all as one, in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one, in the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song all as one, in the name of love. In the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love. One life living as you and me, one light shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me, one light shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. Oh, and I'm shining from the inside out, I'm so happy, I just wanna shout. One life living as you and me, one life shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me, one light shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. Oh, and I'm shining from the inside out, I'm so happy, I just wanna shout. Oh, I'm shining from the inside out, I'm so happy, I just wanna shout. One life living as you and me, one light shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One light shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, one life living as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. Oh yes, God is all there is. Yes, God is all there is.
Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in Santa Rosa, and thank you, Christopher Fritchie and our wonderful band for that inspiring music this morning. I am Reverend Russ Laguerre. I am your assistant minister, and I'm so glad to be here with you today. And if you happen to be joining us for the first time, we want to extend a special welcome to you, especially if it's the first time in a long time and you're finding your way back here either in person or you found your way to our live stream. We're just so grateful to have you here. And keep in mind that you can always find out what's going on at the center on our website, www.cslsr.org. Now, special reminder, next Sunday, March 13th, is daylight saving time, so that means that we're turning our clocks forward an hour, and you'll want to, of course, keep track of the time so that you don't miss the service, because either you'll have to wait an hour, or you will have to wait till next week, or watch it on the live stream. You know, that's the benefit of the live stream, is that it's right there for you, so you really don't miss service. Also, we have another announcement about our safety requirements. As you know, we have been requiring that effective masks be worn while at the center, and we sincerely thank you for following our mask guidance. Starting next Sunday, March 13, in alignment with the new guidelines from the California Department of Public Health and the CDC, our new policy will be to strongly recommend that masks be worn inside the center. And of course, we will provide those masks if you need them. And we just wanted to thank you so much for continuing to help us to protect our community. Now, to the juicy spiritual stuff. At the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa, we are motivated by a vision of a healthy, loving world. It is known as the Global Vision, and it calls us to imagine a world that works for everyone. And this month, our global theme is play, which invites us to examine the role of playfulness, joy, and fun in our day-to-day lives. Now, in our global vision, we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principles, emphasizing unity with the divine and connection with one another. It's a world in which individually and collectively, we are called to a higher state of consciousness in action. And we support this vision through our shared values, the first being spiritual living. As we learn and we practice our teaching, the science of mind, we live principle-centered, spirit-led lives, and we turn to our principles for guidance in all moments and all areas of our lives. We embrace integrity, which is the quality of being honest and striving to let our inner convictions match our outer actions. We express wholeness, honesty, and fairness in our relationships and our activities. And of course, everybody loves love, I hope. We embrace love as the self-givingness of life to all creation, moving through us into expression as compassion, caring, mutual respect, kindness, and selfless service. And finally, compassion. We express interest in and support for the well-being of ourselves and for others. We express unconditional love when observing the suffering of others and do what we can to give aid and to show compassion. And we're able to live these values in part through the many ways that you can contribute to your center. You can give online on our website, you can send us a check, and we have this wonderful thing called Text to Give. That is, you send a text message with your dollar amount to that phone number, 707-675-2399, and if it's your first time, it will walk you through setting that up. You click the link that it gives you, and you'll be able to enter your payment information, and after that, it takes like 5 seconds. 5 seconds. I'm not kidding. I'm not making that number up. As Dr. Edward says, I'm not using South African math. It really does only take 5 seconds to do that, which is what I love because I can just be like, boop, 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 done, and I'm supporting my center. So however you choose to give, whether it's financially with your volunteering or just by bringing your consciousness to us, we are so grateful for you. This community exists because of you. So Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know that somewhere between the music, the meditation, the prayer, the spiritual practices, and Dr. Edwards' message today is exactly what you need to hear and experience for the next step of your spiritual unfoldment. You are welcome here. Now, please join me in a moment of silent contemplation before our prayer.
Awareness that spirit is all there is. There is only one infinite and eternal presence, one holy, divine, creative center of the universe, and everything is one with that. There is nothing and no one that is separate from this divine presence, which is whole, complete, perfect, loving, peaceful, and well all the time. We are that. I am that. Every being that exists is one with that divine presence, which is whole, complete, and perfect. At the core of our being is the divine, no matter what the outer expressions look like. There is still the truth of the divine at the core of every being. And I know that it is that divine presence that is here with us this morning as we celebrate life, celebrate our very being in spirit, knowing that we are all one being, one spirit. Not only us here and all of those listening or watching, but all beings everywhere. One life, one spirit, expressing in many, many different ways, but in essence, all one. So we celebrate that oneness, and we know that the truth of the divine always prevails. And so I know that that truth is being celebrated here this morning. And that truth is guiding all people everywhere. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for our time together and grateful for knowing that we know the truth, that Spirit is present everywhere, always. And I just let that be and say, and so it is. My name is Brenda Coburn. I'm one of your prayer practitioners here at the center. And our affirmation for today is, I am playing with the divine. Thank you.
Where I am, God is. Where I stand, God is standing strong. And where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me, as me. Where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, oh, beauty's flowing free, in and out and through me, as me. Where I doubt, God is the faith in me. Where I cry, God is the comfort there. And where I seek, God is the answer, here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. Where I work, love is my career. Where I play, God is playing boldly, in and out and through me, as me. Where I am, where I stand, where I play, and where I work and breathe and move and be, where I sing, where I dance, my dance, my dance, wherever I go. Where I pray and take and give and live, God is, God is, God is, God is.
Thank you very much, Christopher and the gentlemen of the band, and good morning to you, beautiful people of the center. Hello. It's a new month, and with the new month comes a new focus, and your journal will tell you what it is. I'm sure you have it right there with you. 6 people. Wonderful. If you turn to March, you see the journal will tell you that the theme for March, as you heard Reverend Russ announce, it's living everyday wonder with the focus on play. And that's the reason why we have Krishna from the Hindu tradition right up here in his form as the playful dancing flute player, as a visual symbol that as things come and go, as seasons change, as stuff happens in the world, there remains this constant undergirding expression of creation that holds everything in place no matter what. We'll talk about that in weeks to come. Our topic today is playing Twister with God. So a couple of things come up for me right away. I don't feel particularly playful right now. You know, with the violent invasion of Ukraine by Russia, I don't seem to be able to easily connect with the idea of playfulness right now. And not only that, I don't know what Twister is. So I had to look it up, you know. It's a game, apparently, that the goal of which is to outlast your opponent. By stretching yourself into like a pretzel shape on a large vinyl sheet without falling. It sounds like fun. But really, what I'm thinking of right now is the people of Ukraine who are being twisted and stretched and challenged beyond anything I can imagine, and not in a fun, playful way. In a dangerous, deathly, horrifying way, as their country is being invaded by Russia. There's nothing fun or playful about it at all. You know, we have a Center for Spiritual Living community in Ukraine, near the city of Kiev, where the Russian military is converging, right there. Indeed, several years ago, some of them visited us and sat in these very chairs. We've been in contact with them, and they've let us know that at the moment they're doing as well as can be expected, and to let them contact us rather than, overburdening them with inquiry. A colleague of mine just recently pointed out that this is the season for nonviolence. That's a program hosted by the Association for Global New Thought, and it ends on March 10th, I believe. And she pointed out the irony that right here in the middle of the season for nonviolence, the world is experiencing armed conflict in more than 70 places on the planet, including Haiti and Myanmar and Kazakhstan, and between Colombia and Venezuela and Burkina Faso, and of course Syria, and now Ukraine, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Ukrainians are fleeing lethal military aggression by Russian troops. Now, it's also important to note, and this is uncomfortable, it's important to note that the conflict in Europe, in addition to exposing the motives of Russia, is also exposing cultural European bias in reporting. There have been some very unfortunate things said on the news, and also exposing racial bias in helping refugees. African nationals trying to flee Ukraine are being denied access to services and safety, with priority being given to Europeans. That's happening. I know a person might question if our spiritual work and our vision of a world that works for all is actually having a beneficial impact. Well, I believe it does. It's working itself out. I believe in our teaching that consciousness is cause. And so in light of what's happening in the world, I feel called to reinforce my spiritual practice, not to flee from it, to reaffirm my support of and advocacy for peace everywhere. You know, every morning at 6 a.m. I light a candle, and you're welcome to join me. On YouTube, on Facebook, the information is on our website. And I'm doing it right now to remind myself to keep my heart open to love and to keep my mind open to guidance from a power greater than I am. And I'm doing it to remind myself to stand with people everywhere who are standing for peace and protesting violence. I'm doing it to remind myself to stand with people everywhere who are praying for all leaders and all governments, and to stand with people everywhere who dare to grieve the use of violence as a means to attain dominance or economic security. I light the candle to stand humbly with people everywhere who can look inside, to look at their personal and their national history of violence and invasion and dominance, without losing courage and without losing hope for a better world. I light the candle to stand with people everywhere who help in times of crisis and who refuse to celebrate death, innocent or otherwise. I was in Bhutan 3 years ago, and I was told by the locals there about a dispute, a border dispute with a neighboring nation. And the Bhutanese successfully drove the infiltrating army out of their land, killing some of the soldiers of that invading nation. And there was a call for celebration of the success. But the Bhutanese king, I was told, instead of calling for a celebration, he called for a national day of mourning. He invited the nation to grieve that a Buddhist would be involved in the loss of life, whether justified, self-protection-wise or not. I am grieving the loss of life. I'm grieving the loss of a sense of safety, and I'm still nevertheless called to stay strong and to keep doing my part in spiritual practice. The question on my mind, though, is how do I tune into the consciousness of wholeness? How do I connect with courage and hope and compassion, let alone playfulness, while war rages and lives are being lost? Well, it's a challenge, a worthy one. Several years ago, when I was in another country, I remember I had to have a medical procedure, and I was very worried about it. I was nervous about it because the outcome of the procedure was not 100% guaranteed. So a friend offered to go with me to the procedure. And all the way driving there, he was very calm. And I watched him and I thought to myself, well, yeah, he can afford to be calm. He's not going to be going under the knife. He's not the one facing the danger. And it's almost, I said to myself, like he doesn't care. But what I realized as I watched him is he was being calm intentionally, on purpose, for me, because I couldn't do it for myself. Exactly because he did care very, very much, and his calmness became a source of strength for me to draw upon while I did the things I had to do to take care of myself with a certain amount of anxiety, knowing he was there. So now I think about this act of mindfully tuning into the consciousness of peace almost like a duty, like an obligation, something that I must do for those who cannot, while they take care of what they must take care of. Still, today I'm acknowledging the collective grief and stress in our world and the feeling of hopelessness and the pain that the world is experiencing. You know, when I feel helpless, it can lead to me becoming frozen and doing nothing. And I can start to doubt the effectiveness of any little thing. And it's in times like that that I remember my kind-hearted, peaceful friend who stood by me in consciousness. And it inspires me, it calls me to do the same, to engage rather than to withdraw. That's why I invite you to join me, so that together we can generate a consciousness of peace to draw upon for the world and to not wither. I was reading the Bible online the other day. Sometimes I find good stuff in there, but sometimes not. I have to be selective. Sometimes I have to reject the parts that celebrate war and domination over others. You know, that's just me. But I was reading Isaiah, and it was meaningful. I think it was chapter 58. And the prophet compares superficial spirituality with wholehearted, sincere spirituality, asking the question, what use is it if you do all the motions of spiritual practice, if after it's done, you get up and you continue to be mean-spirited to people, or to oppress people who work for you, or to deny helping those people who need help, or to not call for justice? And I got to thinking about that applies today. Even though we may be very far away from Europe, what does it mean in today's situation? I know what it means to me. Yes, I've got to do my spiritual part, and there are other things, actions that I must be led to from my spiritual practice. I got to stay informed and not tune out like I want to. I got to check my information sources. I got to go deeper than the headlines. I've got to be responsible in that regard. I've got to educate myself. I don't want to because it's uncomfortable. Watch the Netflix documentary Winter on Fire about Ukraine's fight for freedom. I don't want to watch it. I've got to research humanitarian agencies that are on the ground helping, and I've got to help them instead of buying a new toy. I was looking at the Time magazine, the online version, and there it is, all the research already done. Organizations I can partner with, UNICEF, the United Nations Refugee Agency, the International Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, International Rescue Committee, and so on. In recent times, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, is quite a lot to say that name. He's called for international volunteers civilians from other countries to help in the humanitarian effort. And people are responding from as far as the United States and the United Kingdom and elsewhere, neighboring countries, and they're serving as advocates and translators and staffing relief offices for displaced people and distributing food and information. They're helping. I celebrate that there is helping, peaceful helping. One Ukrainian volunteer organizer, her name is Anna Bondarenko. She's mobilizing some 90,000 volunteers from all over the world and also from Ukraine. And she has on her Facebook page for the organizing center some advice for volunteers who are facing the fatigue that comes with dealing with crisis all the time. And don't you know, it applies to everybody in the whole world right now. People who are facing hopelessness and crisis fatigue. And she writes this: talk to your family and your friends about what is going on. Don't hide. And hug the people close to you and share your experience. And I add to that what you're afraid of, what you care about, what you dream about. Because talking about your emotions right now is very, very important. And she suggests that you go and get psychological support. And I say we can add to that, contact a prayer practitioner after service or online, or look up the World Ministry of Prayer. Our organization has a World Ministry of Prayer. That phone number the phone should be ringing off the hook. And I would add to her list of suggestions, and lean into your spiritual work. Bring it into a place of prominence. Indeed, in that same chapter 58 of Isaiah, the prophet says, shout it out loud. Don't hold back. Raise your voice like a trumpet. Cry out loud. Don't hold back. I know the chapter is written for different times in a different situation, but I take from it the idea that I am not to shrink and wither, but instead I am to seek the consciousness of the divine day after day after day and stay with it, stay close to it, and learn its ways and let it guide me into action. GlobalCitizen.org has some advice for people who don't know what to do. On their page it says, if you're following and keeping up to date with the ongoing situation on the ground, but you're still wanting to do more or you don't have the financial means to donate, consider joining peaceful demonstrators around the world, because people are demonstrating from London to Tokyo. People who have taken to the streets to protest Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And then right there on their page, globalcitizen.org, they have a list where you can look up the nearest peaceful demonstration to be part of. I want to share with you a poetic prayer from one of my colleagues, Reverend Frankie Timmers. It's perfect for these times. It says, when tragedy strikes, and it strikes every day, when hearts break, and hearts break every minute, when conditions concern us, and oh, how they do, when worry and fear seem to take over, which is part of being human, I breathe, and I let the emotion move through me, and then I turn to my highest self, spirit within. I turn to the ever-present life force in and around me, and I remember who I am. This I bring into life, and it transforms me. I may not be able to change others, the world, or the realm of conditions, but I can change the attention of my mind and heart. And so today, I choose love, I choose wisdom, I choose truth and grace, and I choose to be the faith that there is still good and beauty in the world, and I bring it. Whether it is by means of my compassion, or by my love, or by my faith, or by my activities, I bring what is mine to bring, and I do what is mine to do. So, daily, I take the time for prayer and meditation so that I am tuned into the highest and best in me and of me. Feeling deeply connected to God, I am in service to the world, trusting life, trusting love, and trusting myself. And so I release anything that might be in the way so that I can be free to express my soul's purpose. I love that prayer. And I love that she acknowledges the reality of tragedy and doesn't hide from it. And I love that she depends on her trust that good still exists in the world, and that she lets that trust activate her compassion for action and action. The prayer reminds me that when times get tough, one of the options I have is to be peaceful, but to stay engaged, not to be peaceful as a way to disengage. I love it because it reminds me I always have the option to do whatever it is that is mine to do. And also it reminds me to trust that what I do locally affects life globally. So I'm to look for the beneficial, wonderful ways there may be to partner with the good that is happening in the world and support it. And the prayer also reminds me that I am connected to everything and everyone just as you are. And through that connection, I am part of what happens next. So what is in my heart and my mind matters. Some are struggling with crisis fatigue, I mentioned earlier, constantly overwhelmed by endless bad news. Another one of my colleagues wrote, "Don't let breaking news break you. Grieve, but do not lose heart. Feel the frustration, but transcend it to proactive choices and solutions. Be brave and strong and bound with principle." Which principle? This one. And it's the heart of our teaching. That there is one continuous, infinite, single creative consciousness that we call spirit within, and it connects us to each other and to all of life. And its creative nature duplicates itself in us as our ability to connect and to care, no matter what is currently going on or what has gone before. And knowing this reminds me that there is a light in our soul that is greater than darkness, and its name is love. And it is a light that can never be extinguished. Now, one of the ways of spiritual practice is to use our imagination. Some people, when they close their eyes, can see images, others cannot. Some hear things and still others feel things and experience their imagination as telling themselves a story or a scenario. And I'm going to invite you to use your imagination today on behalf of Ukraine and Russia in whatever way matches your imagination, to imagine peace. And we're going to use the global vision of our organization, modifying it for Ukraine and Russia. So I invite you to breathe in and let these words just float through your awareness, adjusting them if you need to. We envision Ukraine and Russia and all its people as living expressions of spirit. We see Ukraine and Russia as places in which each person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, where unity is emphasized and where connection guides, where each person is individually and collectively called to the highest state of consciousness and action. We envision all of humanity around the planet awakening to spiritual magnificence and discovering this creative power of thought. And so we envision a world in which all people discover their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for all. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship is guided through spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world in which all the nations of the planet join with social conscience in every area, political, corporate, academic, to further create harmony and peace. We envision Ukraine and Russia as places where every person has enough food, a home, a sense of belonging, peace, harmony, and justice. We envision the entire world as a place where resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing. We envision a global, worldwide culture in which forgiveness is normal. We envision a world that works for all. I invite you to let the next breath you take be deeper than the one before. As you exhale and move your body to return to the activity of the room, I would like to draw your attention to the spiritual mind treatment that is printed at the beginning of each month. This month's treatment for March is beautiful. I invite you to use it as an anchor to that underpinning, beautiful expression of life that continues, maybe by reading it once a day for the rest of the month. That's a beautiful practice. I want to thank you for all of your support for our center, primarily by showing up and being here or being online as part of our audience, for the notes of encouragement, and of course for the financial support so that we can continue to keep our doors open and our stream live so that we may reach those people who wish to be reached with the message of Centers for Spiritual Living, that there is a power for good in the universe that you can use and that is living through you. Thank you. And now Reverend Russ has some announcements.
Yes, let's, oh boy, wow. Thank you, Dr. Edward, for that message and that reminder. And I'm reminded of, I've just been saying the word peace every time I take a breath when I'm meditating in the morning, and it really has helped to shift me as well. So thank you for that reminder. So we have some announcements, and as we mentioned last week, and we'll continue to mention until we have our annual meeting, our annual member meeting is coming up on Zoom this Sunday, Sunday, March 20th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So if you are a member, please register in advance as soon as possible so that we know you're going to be there. And to register, you can click on the photo of the shamrocks on our website. And members, please do not wait until the day of the meeting. We need to know that you're coming well in advance of the meeting so that we can plan and make sure everything is set up appropriately. Also, we got an awesome thing happening next Sunday on March 13th. You can purchase baked goods here at the center and hot drinks as well, including coffee. Yes, I know we all love coffee, to enjoy or to take home. We will have all of this set up outside, but this is to benefit the center's AIDS Life Cycle team, which I'm sure many of you know. So you can show up. They'll be here throughout that day for our Sunday service. And you can also ask the team how you might support them in many other ways. They might ask you to ride a bicycle, just to warn you. I've already been asked, and now I'm just thinking, oh, that sounds like it'd be fun. And of course, Dr. Edward has done it too. So it'll be wonderful. Please be sure to check that out if you're able to come here in person. Also, each year we hold a TEA, and no, it's not a drink. It stands for Things Everyone Asks, and our wonderful trustee, Jan Peterson, will have a video talking about that a little bit more, but the meeting for that is happening on Sunday, March 13th at 1:15 over Zoom for you to learn a little bit more about our class called Advanced Spiritual Living. So you'll get more from Jan, as I mentioned, and you can check the Zoom link for that on our website by clicking the photo of the sunset. We also have 2 new classes that are starting on the 3rd week of March. Starting March 21st is at 6 p.m. is Mental Equivalence with Reverend Joyce DeFalla, and she will also have a video talking about that awesome class. And then the next day, Dr. Kim Kaiser is doing non-dual spiritual teaching. So there's all kinds of good stuff happening the 3rd week for classes. And you can find out the info for registering on our website. And Full Circle, our group dedicated to bringing spiritual support to the conversation around death and dying, meets today from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific time over Zoom. You can join by clicking the photo of the dove on our website. Finally, if you're here in person, you've probably already noticed, but I did want to invite you to check out the wonderful and beautiful art from our member, Gail Mardfin. That's all I have for this week. Please enjoy the videos coming up.
Hi, I'm Jan Peterson, and I just finished up the 1-year Advanced Spiritual Living class. And how I got here was just to start taking classes, both the core classes and the spiritual enrichment classes, because I was hungry for this teaching, and life just seems to go better when I take a class. Because of those classes, I've made some significant changes in my life and learned some spiritual tools that really helped me. I learned to see beyond my then current limits to change my workplace. And now I work in a place where I feel really appreciated for who I am and love the work I'm doing. I learned to meditate first from Dr. Edward. I was kind of complaining how hard it was, and he said, well, just start with 4 minutes or just 2, just do it regularly. And I did. And then I took some more meditation classes, and in one, Ruth Barnhart said to me, maybe you can expand that a little bit? And I did. And now I have a regular, helpful meditation practice. I learned sweeter self-talk, which I think is an important spiritual practice here at the center. I learned how to do a spiritual mind treatment. and depended on one when I went back to help my sister in her last days. I was anchored in that prayer of spiritual connection, love, and peace. Advanced Spiritual Living is a class of digging deep and opening up to spirit, and I have found it amazing. I encourage you to take a class or join us at the Things Everybody Asks, where you can have all your questions answered about Advanced Spiritual Living class. Hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Joyce DeFala, and I have a question for you. Is there something new or different you'd like to have in your life? Maybe a new job? Maybe world peace? Maybe it's something you've been thinking about for a while but just hasn't happened yet. Well, if that's the case, we have a class that is just for you. It's called Mental Equivalence, and it's all about using your divine inspiration and power to get very clear on what you do want in your life and to gently release any old ideas that may be getting in the way so that you can have this new thing happen for you and for the world. If this sounds like a good idea to you, then join us on Zoom for 5 Monday evenings, 6 p.m., beginning March 21st. See you then.
It is time for us to close our service, and I want to invite you to take advantage of after-service prayer available on Zoom, and the information is on our website. After each service, trained prayer practitioners are available to assist you. And now I want you to know that you are never alone, that Spirit is right where you are, that you have only to look within at any moment to know that you are guided, sustained, and empowered by a presence that expresses itself as you in this world. In deepest gratitude, let us live our lives accordingly so that in everything that we do and say and think, we honor this presence within. And so it is. I'll see you again next week, and please enjoy the closing music. Thank you for being here.
Oh, the Spirit of love now leads me. The Spirit of truth sets me free. The Spirit of peace now fills me. I'm where I'm meant to be. Oh, the Spirit of joy now heals me. The Spirit of strength makes me strong. The Spirit of light reveals through me. I'm here where I belong. Right here where I belong. Oh, the Spirit of love now leads me. The Spirit of truth sets me free. The Spirit of peace now fills me. I'm where I'm meant to be. Oh, the Spirit